Alright, hopefully I'm fucking... Oh, I just have a little seat. Hello. Just realized how I look right now with the plaid shirt and the Australian flag in the background, but please... This is a this is a video about LARP, not whatever this looks like. Holy fuck. Today I want to talk to you about my feelings on the community, just as a sort of a thought, because I don't think enough people think about these kinds of things like I think about them. Or maybe they do, and maybe just hearing someone say it out loud is something that needs to inspire change. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm kind of more just doing this for my peace of mind. Just a bit of background. I've been in Swordcraft for 10 years, so I've seen it change and evolve over the course of those years. I started in late 2015, I believe, and I've been here ever since. I've been pretty consistent across those 10 years, so I think I'm sort of uniquely qualified to sort of comment on this. So there's two things that I've seen in the community that are really rubbing me the wrong way. They are community respect and organizational perspective, I guess. So let's get I'd say the major one out of the way first. Community respect. I don't really think that the community is as respectful as it used to be. Sort of in the period between 2015 and 2019, which is around the time that COVID happened, I think the general attitude of the community around that time was it was a piss take. It was having fun. I'm not saying we don't have fun now. I'm saying it was more orientated to seeing how far we could push it. I say we as if I was involved in it. I wasn't. I was sort of the reserved kid who kind of just sat back and watched everyone else. But the people that I witnessed, it looked like they were having fun pushing the envelope in so far as they were coming up with role play. They were building random weird shit at the back in their backyards. It was things like that. And people didn't really take the game too seriously. When I used to be a healer, my first ever healing chant was to just make up random bullshit about some mysterious wandering pants man. It was just so I could pad out the 30-second timer. And everyone that I did it to just sort of laughed and snickered because it was just weird, as was the entire experience of Swordcraft at the time. But post-lockdown, I want to say maybe a year or two after the major lockdowns, the community started getting more competitive, more win-orientated, like a sport, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing at face value, but somewhere along the lines, competitive-based play has overtaken what originally built Swordcraft. And I think it's become a bit of a problem because of what I'm seeing manifest in the players, which is the main thing that I really want to talk about today. So I'm gonna paint you a picture. On a Friday night, after working a 9-to-5 the whole week, you arrive to Swordcraft. Once you get out of the car, once you will yourself out of your car and gather enough physical strength to get out of the car, walk over to the sign-in, say hello to all your friends, do the social things, which can be quite taxing if you're trying to get from A to B. You sign in, you do all your stuff, you pay your $14, then you go back to your car, you do more socials along the way. You unload the car or you kit up, you put on all of your equipment, you go to your side of the field, and then the first thing that you start talking about within about 10 to 15 minutes is how Swordcraft has fucked up, how Swordcraft sucks in some kind of way. Then you start playing, and then within the first quarter, second quarter, you start fighting a group of people that are notorious in your eyes for being extremely bad faith players. And then they get upset with you for your play, and you get upset with them for their play. And then you go back to your side, and then you start bitching and complaining about the other players. Sorry, I say bitching and complaining it's not meant to be a charged word. It's just meant to be an illustrative point that you start complaining. You start negatively talking about the other players. It's negative. It's not fun. And when you're always focusing on negatives, when you always have a dark rain cloud over you, of course it would be difficult to get involved in a game where that's just happening all the time. And sorry, just to I don't know if I've said this already, but I'm by no means a saint in all of this. I have been a part of it because, well, you don't know you're participating in negative behavior until after the fact, until you've sort of had 20/20 hindsight, and you can kind of analyze it all. Now I want to paint you another picture, a very similar picture. You've worked a 9-to-5 job, right? You've just done your Swordcraft. You've just done what I've just explained. And you get home, you sleep, and now you wake up again. Now you've just worked a 9-to-5 job. You've just done a grueling bout at Swordcraft. Maybe you take Saturday off. But by Sunday, and maybe throughout the weekdays, you go, all right, I've just worked my 9-to-5. Now I'm going to work again. Except I'm going to work for free, and I'm going to do it by writing law or writing rules for the game of Swordcraft. And then you work and you work. Maybe you put in 2 hours, maybe you put in 5. Maybe you're feeling especially motivated and you just dump the entire day into writing something for Swordcraft. You come back to the organization, you implement it, you say, all right, here's what I've come up with over the week. And then the Swordcraft organizers go, yep, that's cool, that's very cool. We're going to implement this Friday, or we're going to implement it tonight, or whatever. And it gets implemented, and then as soon as it gets implemented, maybe even prior to anyone even stepping onto the field, you're already hearing groans, you're already hearing complaints, you're already hearing negatives about something that you just spent anywhere between 2 hours of your spare time to a full month's worth of weekends on. Now, I'm just using extremes here, but I think you're getting the point. You've done that for a community that loves you, and then even prior to people stepping on field, it's met with negativity. Now, the question I have to ask you, the viewer, is that a community that you want to invest your time in? Is that a community that is pushing forward? Is that a community that has your back no matter what? Is that a community that will give you constructive feedback to maybe shape the product that you've made into something that benefits the community and everyone approves? Viewer, if you aren't providing valuable feedback respectfully, like I'm trying to do, I don't know if I'm doing a good job, but if you're not the person to do that, then I'm sorry to say that's tough. That's rough. How would you feel if you did all that? You put in all of this time and effort of time that you will never get back. Yeah? And someone turned around and said, nah, yuck. Without even trying it. Without even trying to hammer out all the kinks. Or said, nah, yuck. Purely based on the fact that you are from a side of Swordcraft that they don't necessarily mesh with. Or you're associated with people that they don't like. Now, I'm not saying that this is a blanket application for Swordcraft, but this is what I see. It's what I see every Friday when I rock up. And I'll be honest, it's exhausting. And to say that I've checked out of Swordcraft is pretty accurate. I no longer really care for anything other than just socializing. That's the only reason I show up. And at this stage, if a superior option to hang out with my friends presented itself, I would probably do that. But it's purely from the community respect angle. Now, to finish up the point that I actually wanted to say originally was, if you're a community organizer and you've just done your 9-to-5 job and then you've just dumped however much time into bettering the community only to have them turn around and say no and start complaining, and you want to keep investing time into Swordcraft because that's your only social outlet for the week, so you stay. But people, when you try to fix things, don't like it when you do that. They don't like you improving the game. But you want to improve it anyway because you actually want to enjoy your time at Swordcraft. Instead of frowning because this is the time that you spend with your friends. So you stay and you keep trying to fix the game, but people keep not liking it when you fix the game. At some point down the line, you become jaded. At some point down the line, you don't want to invest time anymore. But you do it anyway. And then it starts affecting other facets of your life, I can only assume. And you start becoming more of a negative person. Now, I'm not saying that's the case across the board, but I can at least empathize with that somehow. Now, I'm not saying that the Swordcraft orgs they're not victims in all of this entirely. I'd say, for the most part, they are. They're just trying to do their best. But there are some shortfalls that are in the org, and they're not exempt from that kind of criticism, but that's what it should be, constructive criticism. It shouldn't be complaining like they get nearly every day. And I see all of the orgs just, when they show up, they bring an attitude of highly strung anxiety because it could come from anywhere. They could hear some shit. We're just people, all right? Every single one of us at Swordcraft is just people. We're just trying to figure it out in our own lives, in Swordcraft, in wherever, right? No one has all the answers, and I'm not expecting anyone to. I think you guys more or less get the gist. Hold on, I'm not even fucking square here. Jeez, let me just break half the fucking table. I think we're more or less across the board. Sorry for this to be sort of so doomy and gloomy. but I just feel like I need it to get out there. To sort of conclude my point, I feel like the community doesn't really consider what it's like to be the other guy anymore. We don't consider what it's like to be an organizer that has to try and build the game up. Someone who most likely has no training in game design, and they're just figuring it out. Which is actually, I think, pretty on the point, because most of the people that are in the organizers now were not the same people that were in the organizers 10 years ago. They're just people, yeah? They're just people trying to do their best, and I think that deserves to be on some level, regardless of how you feel the game should be made. I feel like that needs to be acknowledged. That they genuinely seem like they're doing their best. And I think if you can't see that, then that's an issue. I genuinely believe that as a community, if we don't start slowing down and thinking about what it's like to be the other guy, this community will eventually die out, because no one wants to be showing up every week to hang out with their friends only for it to be negative all the time. We get enough of it in the world. We get enough of it in the media. We get enough of it in our own personal lives. We don't need it on the one night of the week that we're just supposed to let our hair down and have fun. Because I guarantee you, if the community keeps going this way, the second something else, and it's happening, the second something more desirable opens up, that's it. They're gone. And I'm borderlining that myself. So, all right, I think I've wailed enough. Hopefully this actually made sense. Hopefully I didn't just start fucking Civil War, Swordcraft, RIL. And hopefully you don't think that I'm some kind of fucking we need to round them up kind of fellow. Alright. Thank you, goodbye.